and try to cover also. Okay, every once in a while I'm gonna have to check it because I'm not gonna trust it in here. Not recording. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is go over to D2L and pull. Well, actually, I'll just pull it to it in D. There it is. Oh, it's syncing. Oh, yeah, stuff I just put on it downstairs. Okay, hurry up and sync. Let's go, let's go. One of the I should have shown you when I talked about it once, Jeffrey Zeldman. I always get it twisted, my tongue twisted when I try to say it. But he's one of the ones, and his ring, or any time you can't get to work right, authors is thinking. I'll go ahead. And it's called, his site is actually called A List Apart. Notice how plain Jane it is. He is not, a lot of the designers have actually use his website and put things out there. He has a book called A Book Apart. He has an event going on all the time where I went to see him in Boston. I can't remember how many years ago that was. Let's see, probably about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I'm trying to think how old my daughter was. That's how I figured out. But he spoke. It was called Web Design World. And he's a very boring, monotone speaker. But he does do, he's very well respected. And so he actually started hosting this at the same time, or pretty soon after that, is when CSS in Garden was created as a learning site for people. That was when CSS first started taking off and designers started trying to do things with it. So in this site, you can see he started in 1998. And he also has a website that's a personal website called Happy Cog. And so that's his design studios that he co-founded. And he co-founded an Event Apart, which is, those are conferences that are really incredible. He has some brief books, and those are what's listed here at the top. But like, when you wanted to know, used to doc types was a really big deal. You could go here to topics. If you didn't know how to code a doc type, you could put in here doc type for what version you were on. You know, he has fix your site with the right doc type. He tells you how important doc types are because it tells the browser exactly what it's going to be looking for. Well, now that we've gone to HTML5, it's a little easier to code, but still yet there are a lot of here. I mean, he stays up. All these authors write on his site too. It's like an online magazine in some ways, but you can see Write for Us, topics, events, blog, columns, articles. And for a long time too, we had problems with CSS working properly in certain browsers. And like he had coded out here, like for IE, all the older versions, the hacks, they called it, to make it show up properly in IE. And so there's just a lot of really good things out here. Let me see if my Evernote. But as far as structured coding, that's why I was saying I should have introduced this in the beginning, because now we're into CSS, which is more CSS in Garden. But this is a really, really good reference that if you do design web sites or whatever you will want to remember, because he has the most current, latest things that W3C will be accepting. Let me see if this got my.
So if you just go with HTML and don't have the doc type, it's that going to work?
No, you have to have the doc type up at the top, because the doc type tells it which version of HTML. That's why when you were doing the validator, you've got to, the validator is going to look at that doc type. So it's just what I was saying is in HTML5, the doc type is easier. It's just doc type HTML. That's what it says. And it knows that you're going to use HTML5 when you do that. But there's still meta tags that need to be in there. We talked about that. I can't remember which chapter that was in. But no, those are still very, very important. It's just what I was meaning is that it's a lot easier since HTML5. So last week we talked about, we only met one day, right? I think we only met Wednesday, didn't we? Was that right? Okay, and we went we got into some of 11, but we didn't get near finished with it, and hopefully you did finish it. But I'm going to go over and I'm going to go over and review the very end, some things at the end of this chapter that I want you to be aware of while you're building your site. So I want to make sure that you have a good understanding of it. And first thing we're going to look at is right here on page 521. And hopefully, I think I did send an email last night too to tell you all there wouldn't be a quiz, right? I thought I did, or did I? Oh, I didn't. Oh, I did that with my logic class, and because they had one too, and I didn't. Sorry. Okay, so what I'm doing is I decided here at the end, these last couple of weeks, you really need time to work on your final project and finishing up this textbook. So I'm just going to give a final quiz over the chapters that we haven't been quizzed over, which will be chapters 10 through 14. And that will be after we do our final presentation, the last day we meet in class. So that way you don't have to be worrying about this quiz until you've already finished your final project. Okay, so what we're doing this week is I'm going to, hopefully you've read chapter 12. If you haven't, I'm going to try to go over some of the highlights in there. I won't have time to cover the whole chapter because I want to give some time to help individuals with their kind of take a look at where everybody's at on their project and see if I can give some suggestions or if you're stuck on things. So I want to have time to do that. So I'm going to have you all go through chapter 12. I don't think you'll have any trouble in this textbook following it. If you do, then you need to let me know, and I will go over some of it. But I wanted to leave, leave this time where I can work with you all. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to go ahead and cover the highlights of these two chapters because I want you to have next Monday to be in class with your final projects and any questions that you have, any help that you need, getting it completed before Wednesday. Make sense? Okay, so that's what, and this is the Wednesday, actually is the presentation. So next Monday, a week from tonight, it will be the last class period that we'll have to work on our projects. All right, so what I hope to do by the end of this week is have you where you're just putting the finishing touches on over the weekend, and then any questions that you have that you can't get it just like what you want. Then on Monday, we'll work on that. And then on Wednesday, March 11th, is the last day that we meet. And so that is required attendance because I want you all to see each other's website and kind of what you've done, okay? and not so you can critique it and say, oh, mine is better than yours or whatever. That's not what I'm interested in at all. I'm interested in us seeing, because there are people that are more graphic design savvy. There are those that maybe like myself, that coding is my thing. Then there's those that you're all just learning, and so you haven't had any introduction to this before. And so what I want to do today and the rest of this week is help you be a little bit more comfortable with what you're doing and what the requirements are on your site. Okay, so are there any questions about the schedule? Then I'm going to go back and show you some things about the syllabus. Anybody have any questions about our schedule here? Okay, everybody understands next Wednesday, even if you have to crawl in, you need to be here. Okay. I have been very lenient on attendance. I usually am, but this is something that is very important, okay, for me to see. Even if you don't think yours is finished to the point that you want to show it, don't just not show up, okay? I will, if you don't feel like you want to show it to anybody, well, that takes some of the points off, but I still want you to be here, all right? Okay, so let's go now over to,
I have a question.
sure.
Can we use pictures? I forgot the name of my tab. Anyway, I need to show some pictures with people faces. Is that allowed?
What people faces? You mean just like from on the web somewhere?
Yeah.
Well, in our class, you can do that because this is an educational environment. If you were really going to publish it, you would have to get those people's permission to use their faces. Unless it's some of those canned photos. You know, there are some that are not copyright that are out there. Lots of photos in different places that you can use.
So can we use also videos from YouTube?
Yes, in this class, you can use anything you want. It's just, we can't publish some things, that's all.
I found the website where we can actually post the website for free.
Oh, you did? Did you try it? Did it cause any problems?
No, I didn't try.
See, sometimes what happens is when we actually try to upload it, I'll look at it. You can, here, tell me what it is, and I'll try to upload a site there and see.
I don't know the name, but I have it on a text
Okay.
file.
And who else was it? Rebecca, didn't you find one? Have you tried to actually publish things?
No, because once you told me we weren't going to, I just started working on the actual.
Okay. Yeah, because what we were going to do is just share our Google folder. You know, you'll have it shared with me anyway. And so I can open it up here, and we won't publish it unless someone wants to try it. I will help you publish it. But what
You can actually host it on Google.
yes, you told me that, and I haven't had a chance to test it out. So we will. I did see there's something called Sites. Is that what you're talking about? Destin, on Google, it's called Sites.
Not really. Oh, well.
I think that's what you were talking about from what I read.
Maybe that's what it was. It's been so long since
Yeah.
tried it again. But yeah.
Okay, if we decide to, we will figure out how to publish on Google, okay? But otherwise, you're not required to do that by Wednesday anyway.
Oh, okay.
I have it published. I think it says that in the rubric, but I'm not sure if it does, but it won't be, that's not a requirement. Okay, so I'm going to go and show you now what I'm going to be looking for in your folders. Let me go here. Now, probably easier. Let me see if I have grades that are not. Yeah. Okay. These are the quizzes and how many points there have been up to this point. Now, if you have missed quizzes, the when I open the final quiz, I will open any quiz that you've missed. You can't retake one, but I will reopen ones that you missed, okay? And you will have to tell me through email which one you want to be able to take, all right? So that will be available after the presentations, okay? All right, so then chapter lessons, I've grouped them like this, chapters 1 through 3. What I know is that most of you have been able to download the files completed, right? Already completed. But I want to see that you did those lessons. And I know I can't 100% see that it's yours because those completed files are out there. But I want you to put something on each one of those lessons in those folders that show me, because you should have a chapter folder. There'll be 14 chapter folders, right? That's how I had you all set it up on your Google Drive. But so it's a little easier for me to grade. If I have 14 of these, it's unmanageable. So I've grouped them like this because the first 3 are only 5 points each, because they were a little not quite as difficult to manage. Then these 4 through 6 are 10 points each, 7 through 9, 10 points each. And then there's actually 5 chapters in the last group, which they're still 10 points each. So if you look at the syllabus, it was worth, I believe, 125, I think was what these were. No, yeah, and the quizzes were 150. I believe that's correct. And so then this that says Starbuzz website, on the syllabus, it says website case study. Okay, what that is I want to see the completed Starbuzz site as it is in chapter 14 at the end of the semester. So this is where you've been doing the lessons and you carried it through, right? So at the end, you should have the completed site, but in your lessons folder, you should have each chapter. Does that make sense? So you're almost, no, Irene, so you're really getting credit for doing something one time, twice, if you do it correctly. So as you go through and you do chapter 1, then your lounge, I think it was, one of them was a journal chapter that we never could find the originals. I think it was 10 or something, 9 or 10. But when you worked through that lesson, you created a lounge.html, and those files are in your chapter 1, right? You follow, Irina?
Yeah, but I still don't know how this homework messed me up this semester. Only on HTML, because I have no clue what I'm doing there. I know what to do, but I don't know how they want me to do it. Like have a different text or
I need to see what you've got on Google and see it, because I'm probably not, you've probably done it okay. All you were supposed to do was follow through the lessons. And
I'm having really low, bad grades at homeworks, and I don't know.
Bad grades on homework? I haven't even graded any homework.
Yeah, I did 50, 10 points out of 20. And I was thinking, I need to know what I'm doing.
I haven't graded any homework.
Mhm.
It must be quizzes you're talking about. You're talking about the quizzes, not homework. I haven't graded any. I don't think I have any
So there was
grades.
Okay, I'm gonna check again.
So do you put the Starbuzz website in a separate folder? Or-
Yes, and just call it Starbuzz website. That's your final when you've gone through all 14 chapters and at the end, okay? So if you've been following it along, you should just be able to take whatever you created for 14 and put it in the Starbuzz site, completed.
Both of the 14 in the Starbuzz.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's, does that make sense, Dustin? You're looking at like you're not sure. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, I found it. Chapter 8 and 9.
That's a quiz.
Hmm?
That's a quiz.
I found that one.
Ooh, I did
I
bad.
want to retake it.
That's a quiz. I'm gonna give
Oh, chapter 2.
that's a quiz. Yeah, see, I haven't graded any of the homework. The homework will not actually be graded like a quiz was. The homework is kind of like a check off that you did it. So there's no reason if you do all the work and put it in your chapters that you don't get all 125 points, I think is what the lessons are.
So how much from the grade it's worth the homeworks, like percentage?
It show okay, let's look. It's over in the syllabus because I can't recall. I do so many syllabi and stuff. Let's see. But the thing is, too, that I want you to understand is that I want you to be able to code when you get out of here. And if that's something I need to know about this book, because this is the first semester we've gone back to it. Not that people learned any better out of the other one, but you've got to be able, how many in here are taking Dreamweaver? Okay. All right, well, I'll be able to tell if you, because in HTML, see in Dreamweaver, you don't have to use the HTML, but some of the projects, if you don't understand the HTML, you'll have trouble fixing them in Dreamweaver. Because I know right now, several of you've probably used Dreamweaver, but you probably don't know how to utilize Dreamweaver. And that's what we're going to learn in there. And a lot of times you have to go behind the scenes and see how Dreamweaver, what it's doing with HTML, okay? Let me go down here where oh, there it is. Okay, chapter lessons are 25%, quizzes are 35%, that case study's 10%, and your final project is 30%. Okay? And that tells you also the points breakdown. All right. So the lessons, you should get all 125 unless you just don't do certain ones, you know. And so that's what I want to know, that it's not where you just upload to your Google Drive that completed lesson. Okay. If I get an idea you're doing that, that's the ones that I won't give you the points for. But there's really, I can tell you, I have to really, I mean, you need to let me know that you made some changes to it. But I'm not going to be scrutinizing it. I don't have time to do that. But, you know, if you learn it, if you do the lessons, this book doesn't give you a bunch of extra exercises. Like the textbook that I used to use had at the end of every chapter a lot of exercises and a couple of 3 case studies, and we did things like that over and over, where this book doesn't provide that. So if you don't do the lessons and work through it before you look at the answers, or just if you get stumped, look at the answers, then you're not going to learn it because there's not enough stuff here, right? For enough stuff in the textbook. Okay, so any other questions over the grades? That one on 8 and 9, I will I don't remember. There was a couple people did really good on it, but the majority didn't understand the CSS. So that's some of the things that we need to look at better, because you've got to understand how to use the CSS to make your website look pretty. Now the structured code, yes.
Well, I worked on my website, and as soon as I applied the CSS, that I linked it with my HTML, it messed up the whole page.
Right.
And I have to go back all over and do. I mean,
that's what it's all about.
that's cool.
Well, see, that's why you should put what I told him in class. I don't remember if you were here the other week, is to put a style in that page in the head section, embed it, see what it does. If it does what you want it to do, then pull it over to your external style. Don't try to do a massive external style sheet and then apply it all at once, because then you don't know where any of your problems are.
Do we have to have the external sheet, or can we do all of it inside?
You need an external. That's one of the requirements on your. No, you don't have to do it on all. I
do better with it inside the
HTML. But see, whenever you start really working on larger sites, you've got to have external. Here's the idea behind external. is external you should use for your whole site defaults.
Oh, okay.
All right. So like, say if you don't have maybe one paragraph on one page, you want to change it to italics Times New Roman or something, then you would give that paragraph either an ID or a class, depending upon how many times you want to use it. And you can embed that in there, you know, or you can even include that in your external, because you're going to have every page. The idea of an external style sheet is to have every page linked to it so that it has a default style. Okay, makes sense? Like a default font for your whole site, font family, a default size for an H1 and a paragraph. And so you want to have that and each page linked to it, but then you want to tailor each page by using embedded and inline styles. Okay? Does that make sense?
So how much CSS do you need to use on the website?
Whatever you want to make your page look like you want it to look. And one thing that I'm going to cover today, if I can, is just a review at the end of chapter 11 of the different page layouts, because that's very important that you understand that you use CSS for page layout. And that may have been a chapter that was a little difficult to get through all of it. And at the end, they had a really good review. There's on layout and positioning of objects on your page.
You mean background or?
No, those are the CSS rules that I'm talking about. Layout rules. Here, we're going to look at it here in just a minute. Any other questions about points and how we're going to get that? Okay, so let's go to, and I've got the, oh, I did have the book open. No, I'll open it again.
Did you check your recording?
That's what I just thought I better do. Yeah, it looks like it's recording. Okay, so I'm going to go to, I have it on PDF highlighted, so hopefully it won't take so long. I hope it highlighted this or saved it for me. Okay, let me look at Evernote to make sure what page that is. Page 521. Okay. All right, I'm going to go down to chapter 11. Actually, I can just say page. Oh, I think that's going to let me. 521. It didn't do right. 5. Okay, now let me make this big. Hold on. Oh, that should have went all over the page. Why did it not? Okay, this was on page 521 on your PDF file. And so at the end, it's actually still not quite to the end of chapter 11 here, the strategies for your CSS layout toolbox. So what I'm assuming today is that you at least have your HTML structured code of your final project. And so what I want to do is help you in designing the layout, positioning, some of the things that you learned in this chapter 10 and 11. Okay, so here, what it tells us is that, as you've seen, there are a variety of methods you can your pages using HTML and CSS. And we didn't have to change the HTML much to change the layout of the page, other than moving a piece of content around for handling the floating sidebar and adding a couple of divs for the table display layout. You handle the presentation of your content entirely with your CSS. That's really the idea. Your HTML should be all about structuring your content, and the CSS is what handles the layout. So which method you choose for doing that layout is up to you and is going to depend on the kind of layout you choose and how flexible you want it to be. So the thing is, what we saw in this chapter also is that we had to, there was one part, I think it was in this chapter, where it showed, it said, hey, I've pulled this up on my smartphone, and now my navigation doesn't look right. Maybe that was, maybe in 12. But what happened was, even though CSS had put it in the side bar, when it was squeezed onto a mobile device, it used your structured code. So you need to be sure that your structured code is in the order, your elements are in the order that you would like them to show up if you don't have CSS applied. So for instance, when we went to CSS Zen Garden, you remember that there are tons of different layout designs here. But if we look at the actual page source, we see, this isn't the part that I wanted this, where's the structure? That isn't what I wanted, hold on. If you go to right here to the HTML file, this lets you actually download this file. So I'm going to download it here for a second and we're going to look at it. Oh, where's my okay, index, and I'm going to open it with brackets here. That's what we've been using, right? Brackets in here, I think. Or some of you may be using TextPad or whatever.
The text, the pad plus plus.
Oh, is that one you use? Okay. Pad plus plus. Okay, this one is the index file from CSS Zen Garden. And you probably cannot hardly even see it, can you? It's so light. But if you go, what you see here, it says view source is a feature, not a bug. Thanks for your curiosity and interest in participating. Here are the submission guidelines. And see right here, they have comments. Let me see if I can escape this and get it a little larger for you. Come on. Okay, file, see preferences, edit. Maybe there. Did it have? Does it have Zoom? Oh, let me see. See, this isn't on the internet, so I can't do. Let me see. Yeah, there's the Zoom, but I don't know which key. It doesn't show a key or anything. Oh. I don't want to take too long doing this. Debug. Switch language. I guess, oh, I bet preferences are here. No? They're grayed out. What for? That's weird. Let me see. Oh, it did get bigger, Irina, when I did Command Plus. Thank you. Okay, so this one has divs, but what you'll notice here is that they're starting to use the HTML5 code here. There's header, which is an HTML5 element, which is in chapter 12. So if you haven't read chapter 12 yet, what happens is with HTML5, you can replace a lot of the divs. Instead of saying div ID equals footer, you can just say footer. Let me see if they did that. They don't have a footer on this one. Not sure why. But instead of saying div ID header, you just say header. And that is new. And here's the doc type, see, for HTML5. That's what I was telling you, how much easier it is, because doc types for other versions, remember, they go all the way across the page, right? So for HTML5, and for the language, this is EN for English. Here it still has a meta tag, the character set, but that's a lot easier than how long it used to be. This one has 2 style sheets. It has one for the screen, and that's it. Then it has an alternate one. What does it say? Type application. Oh, it's okay. This is a different one. If you're, this is probably for a smaller. Oh, okay. Here's the viewport: width, device, initial scale. This we haven't talked about the viewport yet. It's in 12 or 13. I can't remember. But here's the author of this page, Dave Shea. He's the guru on CSS. Okay, so if we look down here, though, what I wanted you to see is that this particular structured code is just H1s, paragraphs, if it didn't have that link. Okay, let's go over where, let me go back to when I went out of brackets. Come on, get me out of brackets. Okay. So if I go back over here, you remember when I went to Firefox, well, I finally found where it is in here. It's under, it was tools, I thought. Where did they go? I guess I'm going to have to open Firefox to show. Huh. I thought that oh, there they are. Okay. View source. I don't want view source. This one doesn't let me. Darn. Okay, let me open it in Firefox. Okay, so if I look at CSS in, and I know that there's a way to do this in Google, I just don't want to try to figure it out right now. Okay, come on. I don't want that. I don't want that. Okay, come on. Oh, this internet's so slow, I guess. Now, let me see. I think it's about to come up and put that www in front of it. There it is. Okay. Oh, but I don't. I did that all for nothing because I don't see my developer tools on here, and I'd have to download them. Well,
Underneath those 3 lines over there, it says developer.
it does.
Then at the bottom.
Yeah, there it is. Maybe that's it. Toggle tools, iDriverScript page. So I don't want to get more tools. Debugger. I think that's the one that lets me. Nope. But I'm trying to remember. There's one where you can go in and turn. Maybe that's it. That's it. Got it. What does it say? It's highly unable command. I don't know what that's saying. It didn't put my developer toolbar up there for some reason. That's what I wanted. Okay. No. Well, it says it's on, but I don't see it where you can turn off and see just the code is what I'm trying to get it to do. Reset. Okay. Use Firefox. No, not now. I don't want to do that. but it's still not showing. Well, I'll have to show that next time or something, because it should. Now I'm back in Chrome. Yeah. Okay. What you can do, there's a developer toolbar, and I did this in the first of the semester, but what it does is you can turn off all the CSS and you can view it without the CSS, and you can see that what the header 1 does, the paragraph, and how it's structured. And remember, navigation is done with list, and so it may be an ordered list or a bulleted list. But those are the things that actually structure what comes first, which element comes first in your pages. But then the CSS is what does all these different designs. They did different page layouts. So their CSS style sheets are different on every one of these pages. And you notice that they always let you download the page. Now, tell me this, what do you think they've done here on the background?
They put a fixed one?
Correct. They put a fixed positioning, right, on the background. So that's one of the features that you can do. Here's one called Steel. It's got, the middle is scrolling. You can scroll
So
through.
what is that they have it? It's a wrapper?
Yes, it probably is. Probably is a wrapper. Let me see. This is 219 that's why I've got it. Next time I'll have that Firefox developer loaded on here, because then I can show you even the exact CSS styles, but you can download them here. You can, I think it's at the top. Like if you wanted to see, where was that? Right here. If you wanted to see the CSS file also, you can download the CSS for this this particular site, and we'll go and open it. Let me show it in Finder. Okay, let me open. I'll just open it with Dreamweaver, and I'll show you. I know how to get around in there better. Okay, so this is the code for just the style. Here's the HTML, so the overall page has margin 0, padding 0. So that means it can use the whole entire screen, okay? Here's the body, the font. 75% is the size. Georgia sans serif, line height, color, background, margins. You can look at this and apply. You can actually take this and apply it to your site and see what it does. Oh yeah, you can take all of these, and then you can use whatever parts of them that you want. So you can find the layout in CSS Zen Garden that you like, or the closest to what you like. And like this one, let's see, there's their paragraph, their header, their links. They have text. They actually have their links underlined. They have, here's the page wrapper, and there's the background image that they used. No repeat, top left, they're telling you where it's at. Oops, sorry about that. Then they have intro, a class called intro, header 1, header 2. Okay, so we can go over there and we can download all the different ones, and you can use parts from all of them. Now, you notice, what does it mean in a style if they say header H2? Does anybody know? In HTML5, remember we have an element called header, right? So this is actually using this style if it's a H2 inside of the header. That way it doesn't style all H2s. That's whenever you link this style sheet to a page, it only is going to use these styles for an H2 that's found inside the header. And remember, the header is just like a div. It's a division in your page. So you can specialize, or you can code exact parts or elements inside exact places. So here is, they want the header, the whole header, to have a padding, top padding of 20 pixels, a height of 87 pixels. Then look, there's another element called summary in HTML5, and it gives these in our chapter 12. And now it says the paragraph inside the summary, they want styled this way. Then they've set up, what is it when there's a dot in front of it? What is it? What style? What does that mean when the style has a dot in front of it? A class. Good. It's a class. Here's the footer, which is just a straight HTML element now. So in the past, and in some of your Starbuzz site, I think it's in chapter 11, you're still using a div with an ID. And so this would be with a pound sign there, because that means ID. But in chapter 12, we learn that we can create an element called footer. So the way that's important is up here in our index. Let me just go ahead and open it in Dreamweaver too. Is that if in here we said doc type HTML, then it knows we can use a footer and a header and a summary and any elements that are defined in HTML5. If this doc type says HTML 4.01, we could not use those styles. We would have to still declare them with divs and IDs.
So how is that English language?
Yeah, that says HTML language equals EN means, it means, I believe that stands for English. It may be encoded. I'd have to look that up because I always just copy and paste
We have
these.
to put this on our.
Yes, you need it for HTML5. You need to have those two, and then inside your head, you need to have that meta character set, which tells it what kind of characters these are coming up. Okay. So down here is where this should be using just a header and a footer. They may not on this page use the footer. They may have used it on another page. Okay. All right. So this is what it, okay, this shows you, oh yeah, with Dreamweaver, I can do it. Because that's the wrong style for this one. So if I look at the design, this is just the straight code of what that would look like if it didn't have any CSS. And every page out there, this is what it looks like. That's the structure. And so if we could see what these are, this would be called the header. This is probably a H1. These are links in here. But this is just the source code, what it would look like with no CSS applied to it. Now, the one that I downloaded was actually not this one. So let me go back. I think it was the first one. Let's see, maybe. It was maybe this one. No. Okay, whenever you first start, it's like, let me see. Here, that's the first HTML that I downloaded. So if I wanted the correct CSS to go with it, I would download this one. And then I would open it in Dreamweaver. Should show, oh, it's not showing me the code. What did we do here? It's only showing me this. It won't let me flip to the index. There it is. Okay, it must be the wrong one because it's not showing it in design mode, is it? Let's see. Let me see what this one is. This one's style is 214214 or something like that. Okay, but anyway, that shows you something that gives you an idea of some things that you can do on your project. we've got about 10 minutes. I can go into chapter 12, or if you guys have questions, I will stop and come around. And I can stay as long as somebody doesn't have to leave and they want me to work with you. I have some office hour after this. So if you want me to look at yours, we can do that. Or if you all want me to cover a little bit in chapter 12. Who wants me to look at theirs? Has some help, needs some help with something? Okay. All right. So what I want y'all to do before Wednesday, be sure you've done actually, we're going to go to the end of the book. I mean, this is the last class period Wednesday that we'll have on the book. So I'll go over and lecture everything, and then on Monday we will work on our final project too, or if you have any questions from what's left over. Okay? Let me stop this.